55-year-old male, and he was, I think, having around 1600 ml of alcohol per day.
Who is an alcoholic? An alcoholic is a person who has lost everything, who cries at night.
I personally feel this is a bad lifestyle choice.
Anyone who drinks 2 to 3 pegs every night should try this out.
Absolutely clean with zero alcohol per day. But it was, I think, a 2-year journey for me. When instead of only having socially, you decide that, okay, I can bring the bottle home and have a drink every day.
The journey has to continue once they leave the rehab, right? Alcoholism is more than just drinking too much. It is a silent struggle that can take over the life, mind, and body of a person without them often recognizing it. Today, our episode is on recognizing the silent enemy. Welcome to our episode on alcoholism. Today, we have with us Mr. Sambit Basu and Megha. You have already been here before on one of our episodes. You guys already know her by now. Welcome back, Megha. A little bit about your professional background.
I will
please.
just give a very brief intro. I'm a RCI registered clinical psychologist associated with 2 to 3 multi-speciality mental health clinics in Kolkata, namely Caring Minds, Marga Mind Wellness Studio, RB Diagnostic. I work intensely with alcohol cases, but I do believe in like motivation enhancement therapy and a clinical setup approach rather than rehab approach.
Okay.
So I first try that with a clinical setup only if they can get out of addiction.
Sir, we would like you to introduce yourself and a little bit about your professional background, please.
I'm a person-centered counselor, and I also work as a resource person at NCB's course, which is run in collaboration with WHY, Wellbeing, Happiness, and You, and it's called a PG diploma course in person-centered counseling and holistic well-being. And besides that, I have my private practice, and also I work with people with problem of alcoholism and addiction of other substances at many rehabilitation centers as a counselor and a psychoeducator.
Wow, that's brilliant. Thank you so much, sir, and welcome to our show. And our first question is alcoholism a disease, a disorder, or a lifestyle choice? How should we frame it?
I would just like to reframe your question only.
Yes, please.
I personally feel this is a bad lifestyle choice
Okay,
that
yeah.
eventually leads to a
Okay,
disease
so
or a disorder.
it's not a okay. So it is a lifestyle. So people
Bad lifestyle choice.
Bad
Because what
lifestyle
happens is
choice.
कि obviously most people start with a very nice term कि I'm a social drinker.
Yes.
And then they start drinking and go to the parties and start with 1 or 2 glasses maybe.
Mhm.
And then it is called a lifestyle choice कि I prefer to be a social drinker because
Okay.
my company demands that. I have seen many people who come to me and say कि in my corporate party I have to have a glass in my hand.
Oh yeah.
So this is a lifestyle choice, I believe, because
Yeah.
you feel कि without that glass, I won't get attention in a party.
Yeah, you can have a glass, have drink in it, and not drink it also if you choose
But
to.
I
right?
think, yeah, that's the choice. That's the choice. That
No,
you
but
want
I
to
mean,
drink it, and once you start having it, obviously there are a lot of pleasure principles which we may come to later.
Yeah.
So then you start having on a regular basis.
Mhm.
So then, as he said, it becomes an abuse.
Yes.
Okay, using it more than required.
It's like
Because for social drinker, it's once a month or once in a
it
maximum
becomes
2
like an
weeks.
excuse that this is my excuse for drinking. Right?
Exactly. And then after this lifestyle choice, obviously abuse, and then there comes a point when you can't stay without it, and then it becomes a disorder.
Yeah, that's exactly what the question is. The next one is actually at what point drinking shifts from social habit to addiction? You just mentioned that, from
so
there. So
basically, I think it becomes an addiction when instead of only having socially, you decide that, okay, I can bring the bottle home and have a drink every day. And I always say that it becomes actually an addiction when you can start enjoying the drink alone also.
Mhm.
And you bring it home. So this is when I feel it becomes addiction. When you start feeling that, okay, in the morning, maybe I need a glass to feel fresh.
In the
Or
morning.
at night, like what we call eye opener. Or
okay.
at night, we need a glass to get back to sleep.
Sleep. Yeah. So you
So-
need a drink to wake up. You need a drink
Drink
to
to
go up to sleep.
So addiction is that.
Okay.
And most importantly, when you can drink alone at your own house.
Mm-hmm. Then
So
it's
then
like
you
I don't
know.
need company. I can drink
Exactly.
alone.
So then you can't be a social drinker
Yeah.
anymore.
Sir, how about
Yeah,
you? What would
so-
I think you differ a little on this
Uh,
opinion? Do
No,
you?
like what I feel is alcohol, unlike other substances, which do not have endorsement from the society, it has a cultural dimension to it, a social dimension to it. And hence, what I would say is that in cultures where people do drink, they are initiated in a way that they appreciate it, but then they are not hooked to it.
Hmm.
So, like, it's, I would say it's quite risky because the path of alcohol is always slippery, and hence one has to be aware and in control, and there has to be a certain amount of discipline. Otherwise, it becomes like too challenging for a person to get into it and yet just managing to drink within a safe limit.
That's exactly what I was going to ask next. That how trauma, loneliness, or stress, are they like direct triggers for someone who is maybe drinking initially socially, but they get into some kind of trauma,
Yes.
loneliness, or something, and then slowly they start drinking more, and
So
then
you must have heard the term happy high.
yes,
Yes.
of course,
So what
everybody.
happens is ki when you start drinking, there is a reward circuit in our brain
Mhm.
that gets activated. So
Yeah.
if for some time you are out of your stress,
Hmm.
you are absolutely in a positive zone,
Hmm.
or when you are having alcohol, you don't think much about the stressor
Hmm.
because your body is like somehow shut down with the negatives.
Yeah.
So when you talk about these negative stressors, then obviously alcohol does help for some time.
Hmm.
But again, as we say, ki whenever you have a stressor in life, you have two options.
Hmm.
Go for a positive coping strategy or a maladaptive coping strategy. The positive coping strategy is when you have a trauma, you think of processing it, getting out of it,
Hmm.
taking therapy maybe,
Hmm.
or going for humor, distraction, problem solving. Ki, okay, this is a problem. Like for example, I'm lonely.
Hmm.
So what is the solution now?
Hmm.
Loneliness may have come because you have lost a spouse or a dear friend. So the
Hmm.
actually problem solving approach will tell us, let's go try to make new friends.
Yeah.
Join a NGO, join a club. But
Mhm.
maladaptive coping is alcohol, which is like, as I said, isolated drinking. Let's
Hmm.
sit, have a drink, forget my stress for some time. And why is it called maladaptive? Because it won't be effective in the long run.
Okay.
Because next day morning, again, you are back to the same life.
Okay.
So then it is like a cycle of
Cycle
addiction
of
which we are
addiction.
unable to break.
Okay.
So alcohol, yes, these things do help with alcohol, but in a very, again, maladaptive coping, not
So-
a very effective coping.
So you.
Temporary relief.
Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. I was coming to that only, asking sir that for whatever kind of you can call it the trauma, the loneliness, or the stress. So alcohol is basically a short term solution, right? It's not something that will help you in a long run. Why do people develop a dependency on alcohol when they know that it is not a long term solution, but they basically depend on alcohol to solve these kind of problems or get out of these kind of state of mind, I would say. So why do you think this happens?
Firstly, I would say that not everyone gets hooked to alcohol. Like if uh, many people they go to alcohol for a solution, some of them use it in a way which is not that harmful. But then there are people who gets into a kind of lifestyle where alcohol causes like a great damage to their life. So what happens is uh, this alcohol or any other uh, psychoactive substance, they affect the reward system in a way which gives them immense pleasure, a pleasure which is much higher than any other instant gratification that they can avail. So if people value that instant gratification or prioritize that instant gratification over like long-term gains or maybe over other important aspects of their life, like I don't want to think about tomorrow, I just want to get rid of this miserable state right now.
Right now.
So right
Okay.
now I am in intense misery and I want relief. Now,
Mhm.
even if that painkiller it shortens my lifespan or it causes some long-term consequences, I don't care. I just want to get out of this mess right now. So that attitude, that quick fix mentality,
Okay.
that certain people have much more than other, and that has to do with their temperament, with their value system, also with their brain chemistry. They are always trying to find happiness or a high from alcohol, but rather they are trying to self-medicate themselves, but in a way which is harmful
Mm.
and which might give them temporary relief, but at the cost of long-term
Physical
consequences. So
disease most
people
probably.
with that kind of disposition, they are prone to getting hooked to the substance.
Records.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Megha, continuing with that same thing, so do you think it becomes more important for people to get rid of the mental pain, even if it comes at a cost for physical pain? You know, like alcoholism kind of
Yes,
affects.
because at times what happens is you feel very overwhelmed.
Okay.
And at times our body works with something called hit principle, which
Mhm.
is intense gratification of pleasure.
Yeah.
And alcohol is one of the epitome of, I think, examples of instant gratification without understanding the consequences.
Okay.
So what happens is, ki suppose you are very stressed, you are mentally upset, you are unable to work. The first thing it will come to your mind was, let's have a drink and forget it for some time.
Mm.
So what happens is, what you are talking physical pain is the health complications,
Hmm.
which doesn't come immediately
That
you start
becomes
having
secondary.
alcohol.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
it's like not today that you have and tomorrow you will have a problem.
Hmm.
Like yesterday I was talking to a doctor, so I was saying ki I do have Combi-Flim sometime, but my creatinine level is still okay.
Oh.
Though everyone says ki painkiller leads to kidney disease,
Exactly.
is it not one painkiller? You have it. A
Regularly.
series of
then.
it, or
Yeah.
maybe after some time your body will react. The same is with alcohol.
Hmm.
So that physical problem, they are not foreseeing it now.
Okay.
And most of us stay in that denial mode.
Okay.
Ki, my body is good. I know
Mm.
someone who has 4 to 5 pegs every day,
Yeah.
and his defense is ki, I'm exercising for 1 hour, so I'm keeping my physical fitness. So alcohol and my exercise is balancing each other, but they don't realize ki your liver is actually getting damaged.
Exactly.
Because those exercises will not keep your liver healthy.
Hmm. Very true.
So understanding that takes a lot of time because all of us don't have that medical background.
yeah.
And people who smoke also think, ki, okay, one smoke a day, let's see when lung goes bad, then I will see. So same is with the liver. Let's see when
True.
it goes bad.
True. True. Very true. Okay. So the next question coming to, like you said, that if I'm exercising or my liver is fine yet. So why do high functioning alcoholics often go unnoticed?
They don't go unnoticed for life, I think.
Okay.
They go unnoticed in the beginning. And high functioning alcoholics, if you say it's, I think, someone who has a very high tolerance.
Okay.
Like tolerance is basically how much of the substance you need
Mm-hmm.
for your body to show it to others that, okay, I'm tipsy or I'm high. So there will be two kinds of people in a party. Someone who has one peg, and within a peg they are like, everyone will understand, okay, he's drunk now. But actually he just had that 30 ml or 60 ml because his tolerance is poor. Now someone who is having 6 to 7 pegs,
Yeah.
almost in all the parties, so now that is his tolerance. So till 5 to 6 pegs, so he can talk normally to everyone.
And goes down after that maybe. Or the
After
effect
later.
comes later.
Later when maybe everyone has gone home. So that's why they go unnoticed. But obviously their body don't give up the symptoms
body
and that
notices.
doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah.
That will definitely show after a few years because nowadays most of the cases that come to us with medical complication is in the advanced stage. Then the doctors tell them, ki you have to stop having. Then those high functioning alcoholics come to us. Because if they can handle alcohol, they are not causing violence, they are not doing any accidents. So more or less they can function socially well. So as our diagnostic classifications also say ki we call it a disease only when it starts interfering with your personal and professional life.
Okay. Yeah.
So they take that time to reach that damage.
Okay. So basically, it affects the same way, but maybe a little later.
Little
in
later,
life.
we observe it a little later when it
Yeah.
becomes bigger.
Okay. So the realization also comes
Yeah,
later that I
realization is
am
later.
a high functioning alcoholic,
Exactly.
but I
It's
don't
just
know
that
it.
you have higher tolerance than others.
Yes. So any
Yeah.
example of a
Yeah.
person whom you know as an
I would like to give a fictional example. Like there is a film called All That Jazz,
Okay.
and the protagonist he reminds me of this like
High
description.
functioning alcoholic.
Highly functioning someone into substance using
Mhm.
or abuse, whatever you may say. His life is very eventful and he's very functioning, but there is a underlying stress, underlying unrest, and underlying tension
Mhm.
throughout. And to balance this, the using, the drinking, and the work that that person is doing, that consumes tremendous amount of energy.
Hmm.
So had this drinking part not been there, then I think that highly functioning person would have functioned much more. So the potential is like unlimited, and somewhere maybe that person is successful in his or her own way, but then it is also restricting her potential or his potential. And that film or even people, they always have this concern that though things are going well for me, like deep down inside I am kind of wasting myself, or I'm not well.
Or I'm
I'm
not up to
getting-
the mark.
yeah, I'm not
They
up to
have.
the mark.
Would you say they have a little bit of not a little bit, maybe a lot, low self-esteem, or
Definitely.
they're underconfident in what they are doing?
Yeah, what do you think?
I don't think all the time, because every time alcohol cannot be linked to low self-confidence.
Mm.
At times it can also be attention-seeking behavior in the beginning. I'm drinking and people are seeing me
Hmm.
and I'm such a cool person. Very common with the adolescents now.
Yeah.
To become famous, I have to show that I can drink, like around 24-year-old person who comes to me and he always want to boast ki after having 10 pegs also I was absolutely okay.
Yeah.
So showing their
So it's kind of a show off
Masculinity.
or a flex that I drink a lot, but I can handle it. It's
exactly.
like
So
that.
it cannot always be key overcompensation for
So
self-esteem according
it can
to
be
me.
overconfidence as well.
At
kind
times
of.
superiority, showing of the
superiority complex
Yeah,
rather than
better.
inferiority complex.
maybe.
Yeah. Sir, what do you think it is basically?
The alcohol gives them some kind of induced confidence, some kind of induced esteem, but then that is short lived, and also like once the effect is gone, they again become unsure, and so they fluctuate between kind of superior behavior or where behavior where they perceive themselves as inferior. So it
Mm.
is not always superior, it's not always inferior. Like
So it's basically
It's a
not their
acceptance
true
problem.
acceptance problem. That was
Yeah.
just it's actually very correct term actually. They do not they're unable to accept themselves most probably the way they are.
Yeah.
That can be an issue. Since we're talking about acceptance, how important is the word denial in recognizing that you actually have a problem with alcohol? Like, what role does denial play in it? Because you tell someone that you're drinking too much, maybe you're becoming alcoholic. The first thing I think they would say that, no, what do you mean I'm alcoholic? No. So it's a denial. So what role does
I
denial
think
play?
denial comes as a defense mechanism. And if I go by the researchers and everything, alcoholics have this as the maximum amount of denial. And the reason is because addiction, as I said, we understand later that we have got addicted. Even if someone is having one peg for last 25 years, I just saw, I think, a 60-year-old man who told me if for 35 years he's having 2 pegs every night.
Mm.
And when I told him that, okay, we should work on your addiction, the first thing he told me, no, I'm not addicted to alcohol. I've come from my anxiety issues. So I had to actually sit down. So that is denial. Having two pegs, I said, okay, I agree, you don't have an alcohol problem. You just proved me wrong. Just try 3 days without alcohol at your house. And if you are not addicted to it, your bodies will not show urges. There will be no tremors. There will be no issues, no palpitation, and I would accept what you have said. So then they said, no, then I won't get sleep. I said, exactly, this is what I'm trying to explain you.
That's how you recognize. You should try it. Anyone who drinks 2 to 3 pegs every night should try this out.
Yeah,
Right?
just give yourself a challenge. The moment you think of it, कि I'm not addicted, you just take this challenge, okay, for 3 days or 5 days. I will not drink it. I will show the world that my body is absolutely okay without the
Without
substance.
drinking.
Because this is the biomarker na, for addiction. If I'm any addiction.
Any
if I'm
addiction.
not having that substance for say 5 days or 7 days, and I can survive without it, without any body showing up the reactions, like the bodily symptoms.
I think we, as human beings, we have a tendency to get used to everything, any small thing, like drinking coffee for me every morning. So if I don't have coffee in the morning every day, I feel like I'm not even
And
awake.
this denial, I think, also come from your difficulty in accepting your weaknesses. As all the people, they just want to show that they are very strong. So the moment they accept that I'm addicted to something, means my body is dependent, so I'm depending on something. How can I be dependent on something? I'm an independent person. So this mechanism makes you deny that, oh, I'm not addicted. I just have it. I enjoy it. This gives me pleasure. This is something I do with my friends. This is for my own recreation.
Yeah.
This is my me time. So they give different names to their addiction.
Different excuses, basically. Yes.
Yeah.
Sir, how about you? Have you come across someone who was in complete denial?
Yeah,
that they
like
are-
I would say all of this. Yeah. So the thing is, this stage is called pre-contemplation stage, and in pre-contemplation stage, what people usually do is they would try to kind of describe their life in such a way so as to put up a impression that even with alcohol they are working fine, they are doing quite well, and no alteration is required as far as alcohol is concerned. So even if you just give them the markers of alcohol addiction, like they will not be able to stay away from the drink for say even 1 day or like 3 days. So they would say is that yeah, I know I need it, but then who is an alcoholic? An alcoholic is a person who has lost everything, who cries at night. Like they have this kind of mythified kind of
idea about
stereotype
that.
of the
Someone who
alcoholic.
cannot stand after
Yeah.
having alcohol, passes
Yeah,
out,
so
lies on the road, only they are alcoholics.
yeah, so they are the ones who have the problem. We are decent people working and leading a family life, and things are in order. So how can you call me an alcoholic? And we are also not using terms like alcoholic like these days. But the thing is, the alcohol problem, the drinking problem, they take a long term to realize that they indeed have a problem, and that process that can take like quite some time. It is not that that in 1 or 2 sessions you can just make the person realize that the problem is there. So yeah, denial is there, but there are ways to work with
So I think
denial.
the first step would be to recognize that they have an addiction problem.
Yeah.
The next would be not denial or accepting the fact that they have a problem. And I think that will come only once they recognize that it is a problem that they have with
Yeah.
alcohol. Yeah. Okay. So we were just talking about diseases or physical pain, which comes much later for people who drink more. So what basically, apart from liver diseases, what other kind of diseases people see at a later stage because of more alcohol consumption, which people normally we don't talk about, or people don't even know that it can lead to this disease if they keep drinking even
Yeah.
2 pigs every
Yeah.
night.
Most people don't know that neurological diseases is the second most common thing after liver disease.
Okay.
Because if you are having too much of alcohol, there is a neurological symptom called delirium, where you
Okay.
become disoriented for some time.
Delirium.
Yeah,
Oh,
delirium
yeah,
can
okay.
happen. Then epilepsy with acute intoxication, if you have more than your body can tolerate. So many a times you can have an epileptic episode, and one epileptic episode means many associated neurological symptoms like forgetfulness, cognitive confusion, difficulty in making decisions,
How?
and then tremors, which can be also an indication of Parkinson developing. And apart from that, in some cases, there is this irregular heartbeat, myocardiopathy, or something it is called.
Okay.
So
So
that is
liver
another
diseases, heart diseases,
neurological diseases, and most importantly, pancreatitis. Pancreatitis, or what you call.
Pancreatitis,
Yeah, because
yeah.
we always see the liver, but we forget that pancreas are equally getting affected. And pancreatitis cancer has the very bad prognosis. Once you are diagnosed with it, getting recovered is really difficult. So pancreatic cancer is one of the leading things that happen with alcohol.
Yeah, and
So
people
we only think of liver. We say
liver. You know, my liver
alcohol,
is
liver
good.
is
Liver
okay.
is okay, so
Remaining
I'm
we
good.
will see. But
As
we
long
don't,
as my liver is functioning, I'll keep drinking.
and they don't realize if the brain stops functioning, then you become absolutely non-functional.
Exactly. I think
Well,
if
you
you're
can't work, you can't have your personal life, everything goes for a toss.
and I think when people drink more, the brain functioning efficiency keeps reducing,
Yeah,
right?
and there is another myth here which people don't realize, which I want to say through your channel if someone
It's great.
hears. We always say कि alcohol से I get a better sleep. But if you go by the mechanism, alcohol makes your brain more alert in the long run. So you will, when you ask people that after having alcohol, how was your sleep? So they would say कि we had a very good sleep for 2-3 hours. Actually, this is not sleeping, it's a kind of passing out. Because you just passed out and you assume that I had a deep sleep. And after midnight or say 2 or 3 a.m., early morning awakenings will start.
So there's
And then you have a disturbed sleep. So overall, alcohol cannot have been a reason for sound sleep.
anything about the diseases that we were talking about
Yeah, like
other than liver diseases?
Megha almost covered everything. I just have one thing to add, which is alcohol can lead to psychosis.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like, it can lead to delusions, and that can cause serious distress and can take years to recover.
So
It's not directly linked, but
But
then
does this happen in a loop? Like someone who drinks more slowly gets delusional, and because of these kind of things, they start drinking even more. Like, is it?
yeah, that kind of cross feeding each other, that is there. But the thing is, rather than thinking of which came first, the disorder, the condition, or the substance using problem, it's more useful if we think that what happens when a person who has a condition is into drinking, and that's very, very kind of detrimental. That just destroys that person in all possible ways, because for temporary relief that person is seeking some refuge in the substance, but then that is kind of aggravating the
condition which
symptoms
that
and
person should be taking care of even
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
alcoholism.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an eye opener. A lot of people fail to recognize that they have a disease, and on top of that, they start drinking. And I think the overall effect is even worse than they can even understand what's going on in their life.
Yeah.
So, this is for both of you. Can you share details of the most extreme case of alcoholism that you have come across and how difficult it was to handle it? So, one case for you, and so one case that you have come across. Megha, you go first.
I did have this, I think, 55-year-old male who came to me with alcohol addiction for 10 years. The wife and the daughter got into me. And he was, I think, having around 1600 ml of alcohol per day. which was like a quantity where I was like, okay,
1600
1600 ml. And I was like, the first thing I obviously did was
That's like
I
two
called the
bottles.
psychiatrist. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm sending it to you because person needs medicine. She said, hold it on medicine. Maybe we need to go for thorough medical evaluation
Exactly.
because this is not a easy
Yeah,
amount.
1600 is actually more than two bottles. If you
And then
consider
what happened was-
750 ml.
And what I did was
But-
obviously I told you, okay, we will start decreasing the quantity. Again, I was corrected by the doctor. It has to be with very small amounts.
Hmm.
Or either you have to agree for hospitalization. But even with hospitalization in this case, we cannot go from 1600 to 0. Because
course.
body will give up. There
Hmm.
will be severe complications, even ICU will not be able to handle it.
Exactly.
So then in this case, what I did was, first thing I figured out was this person had lost both his parents,
Mhm.
and that was the time when quantity increased to triple almost.
Wow.
So I realized that this grief is still very much there.
Hmm.
Because I think one of his parents passed away in COVID. So he
Okay.
couldn't do the last rites and all because of those impositions.
Yeah.
If a person has passed away with COVID, you cannot touch them, you cannot see them.
Yes. Yeah.
And in our Indian rituals, obviously, that doing that last rituals are very important for the salvation of the soul.
Mhm.
So that guilt was there with him. I couldn't see my parents, I couldn't take care of them. So first thing I
Right.
started working was obviously we started decreasing the quantity by I think 100 ml per week or something, even 100 ml in 10 days. Okay, you have 100 ml lesser, then the anti-cravings were given,
Mhm.
other medicines were given, BPVP was monitored. And simultaneously, I started working on his grief, to a grief therapy, like crisis intervention. So after that, I saw that with a lot of venting out and all, making his relation better with his daughter, wife, making him realign with his friends. Then what happened was he started having a social life.
Hmm.
Then second thing which I got to know was about his work. He suddenly has stopped working completely for last 2 years, so financial crisis.
Hmm.
So that area was worked upon. And gradually, I think few months back, he came absolutely clean with 0 alcohol per day. But it was, I think, a 2-year journey for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't an easy one, and even I was very thankful to the family members for keeping the trust. Because I knew that if any other person would be in my place, he would be in the rehab center. First in the hospital to detox, then in the rehab. But
Hmm.
I just chose the other path.
Yeah.
Because I realized if I put him in a rehab and if he's not motivated to leave forever, then he
Yeah.
will come back and start having it again.
Rehab is most probably again a short
It's a short-term solution. No, it is a very good supportive approach.
Mm-hmm.
But provided person is willing to leave, then rehab can help in bringing that absenteeism for a month or two. But with him, at that time, I didn't have that confidence that 1 month or 2 months will be enough for him to leave the substance.
So people think that
And there were too many other psychological complications.
so about the rehab, I would like to ask that people think that once you send someone to rehab, the person comes changed when they come out of the rehab.
Yes.
But I think the more difficult part starts once they're out of the rehab. So the journey has to continue once they leave the rehab, right?
The journey has to continue that. They don't go back to drinking again.
Hmm.
That needs a tremendous amount of self-control, willingness, motivation. And many a times in rehab, the counseling that is being done, if they focus on all these three, it's okay. But if they only focus on detox part, then after coming back, what happens is in India, we don't have so many mental health professionals to work in those rehabs. So there are very few professionals who are there, and the number of people are much more.
Okay.
India ka population and the mental health ratio is not that great.
Yeah.
So that becomes a challenge. Otherwise, rehab in other countries do much better jobs because one-to-one can be given.
Okay, which does not happen.
How will
Yeah,
it happen?
yeah.
See our population and see the amount of people addicted to alcohol.
Exactly.
So there I feel that is the gap only.
Yeah. So,
Otherwise, rehab is a good approach because you give them complete detoxification. So 2 months it's said that 21 days is required to build a habit.
yeah.
So 20, that's the logic with which people go to rehab. Okay, 21 days I will be out of habit. But then I still have the liking for the substance. My personal problems are not solved.
yeah.
So I come back to the same crisis again. So again I resort to the same substance.
So it's more.
So I believe that first we should work on problem solving with the crisis.
I had this I was working with this person, and he used to be a student at a PhD in a PhD program, and deep into alcoholism, like almost the amount that you mentioned, like 2 bottles a day. And the pattern was like use until he crashes, ends up in an accident, or kind of gets into some sort of trouble, and then taken into custody or admitted to a clinic. And then he would be very much overwhelmed and then abstain for a few days. And in those days, he would be very much kind of cooperating with the treatment, with the counseling, and kind of promising all that I
Then
will
he'll
never
never
touch
drink
again.
again.
And then, like within a week, he would start the same behavior, and that was just repeating on, like, and for years. The last time he was into deep trouble, and he expressed genuine concern that he really wants to change. And he said that this time he would not try to bargain, but rather go by the treatment approach that we would recommend. And eventually, he willingly stayed in a rehab, participated in the program, and then he also kind of uh, became a role model for other recovering addicts and alcoholics.
Very nice.
And gradually, he also started working in the like people with people
With
who have
people.
this problem.
So anyone can, right? So someone who was completely self-destructive, from
Yeah.
there becoming a role model for people who have the same problem.
Yeah,
I think it's a victory in itself. I mean,
yeah.
that's really lovely to know. So you can do it if you're in this situation. Do not be self-destructive. The next question is, what portion of criminal offenses are linked to alcoholism or heavy alcohol? I'm gonna obviously link domestic abuse to this as well. So does alcoholism lead to domestic abuses and often, destruction of families, and you lose friends? So what kind of cases, or what's
So-
the number?
Alcohol has these three phases: intoxication, withdrawal, dependency. So I feel that maximum amount of criminal offenses happen during that intoxication, which is within a few hours of having the substance, because it is very much active in your body.
Mhm.
And with alcohol, what happens is that you become disinhibited, because all your body guards, your mental guards are down.
Yeah.
So you become more impulsive with your actions, and impulsivity is directly linked to your criminal offenses. So the kind that we always see, domestic violence, yes, and most of the time it happens because during intoxication you want more of that substance. So you go back home asking your wife for money or getting you more alcohol, and if she says a no, then because you are not under your control, you start hitting her, you start abusing. You go out, you can do an accident, because again self-control is a problem. So most of the road accidents may happen because of it.
Yeah.
Then gambling, another impulsive act, which is a criminal offense.
Yes.
When you are under the influence of alcohol, you don't know where to stop. If I'm in my senses, I may enjoy gambling, but I know that today my limit is 10,000 or 20,000 in a poker car. But when I'm under the influence of alcohol, I don't know my limit. So it's like, okay, I'm in the game, I want to play more of it. I want to show that I can still win.
Okay.
So I think all these criminal offenses, definitely.
Sir,
Yeah.
have you come across someone like that in your life who was literally, or someone who came to you complaining that someone is alcoholic and that is why there is domestic violence, or there is.
Yeah, all the time
All the
I come across people who have this kind of issues, and often it's mixed up with multiple abuse. Like alcohol is not the only substance, but then maybe like as far as the violent behavior is concerned, it is mostly triggered by the alcohol. Like if a person has this he or she uses marijuana and alcohol,
No.
then maybe it's the alcohol which kind of activates the base nature more than the marijuana. Like that is there. And what I would like to say is, like, you might say that a little amount of alcohol can make people very beautiful, but then a lot of it can also make them monstrous.
Hmm.
So alcohol can make people very much self-centered, very much selfish, insensitive, insensible, and also kind of aggressive and violent. All these kind of like aspects of his or her nature that can be activated by alcohol, but it is also on like the way that person relates to the substance, the amount that
Hmm.
that substance that person takes, because there are person who takes a lot of alcohol, and yet as far as decency is concerned, they do not cross
They
the
become very
limit.
calm, they become
Yeah.
quiet,
Yeah,
and
so it is not just the alcohol, it is also the like
the
how
personality
the personality
traits.
trait.
Yeah. So basically, people, when they are not drinking, they are a certain way, and alcoholism might bring out the best or the worst out of them. Mostly, when the worst comes out, I think it becomes very harmful. So, on that only, so you must have met a lot of families, friends, office colleagues of a lot of people who are addicted to alcohol. So, what is the kind of effect does it have on the families and friends and workplaces of these kind of alcoholic people?
So the fact is that most of the alcoholics who come to us is where family members get them.
Yeah, they
There is
themselves
like
never walk
I think
in.
10% come on their own walking in.
Hmm.
So why do families get them is obviously because they have started getting tremendously affected.
Hmm.
They get affected because obviously that violence is one of the major issue, but other is also financial.
Hmm.
Because if you see, then alcohol is not always very cheap, because there are people who also buy good brands. And if you're having it every day, then 80-70% of your income is going into the substance. So ultimately, the child, the family starts suffering because of it.
Hmm.
So family do get affected because of the crisis, no saving. Then there is a lot of anxiety in them about the health complication of the person. If you have seen a movie in Forum ever, in any Inox,
Hmm.
you would say कि
Yeah,
तंबाकू
they
ने
get
पूरा जिंदगी खराब कर दिया by the family members. So I think now we are bored of that ad, but it does show the reality. Ki family members get anxious because there are many people in India, at least, ki there is one earning member in the family. And that bread earner, if he gets into alcohol and then may develop that liver disease in the advanced stage, then family do get extremely affected because they don't have source of income, they don't have support. Many of them are not educated to start earning immediately, so they take time to get back to their strength. And with friends and colleagues, obviously, they pick up fights very easily. Since with the influence of alcohol, they are disinhibited, so at times they say things which is not taken in a right way, because we all do a bit of social filtering in our interaction. Even if we don't like something, we don't say outright, or we say in a politer way. But alcohol takes away that social filtering away from you. So that leads to breaking of relationship, because at times we don't want to hear the truth, or we want to hear in a more politer way. So alcohol just makes it direct, at times abusive, at times assaultive.
So basically, sometimes people start drinking thinking that they are lonely, and then there are people who drink so much that they make themselves lonely,
Absolutely.
and then they make it as an excuse for drinking more.
Exactly. And work though obviously will affect her, because your concentration goes down the drain when you have the substance
and
every day.
in work, I think everybody is very
nowadays-
easily replaceable.
And exactly. And nowadays all the corporate really goes by the performance and appraisal concept. If you are
Yes.
unable to perform, downsizing has become a very good way.
Yeah.
It's okay, we don't need you. Again, the factor is population, I would say. We have too many educated people ready to work.
Yeah.
So companies very okay with leaving that one person who is becoming a problem.
In addition to what she said, I would like to add that even if the financial and other aspects are in place, after even if it is in order, The family member can't just sit and watch a near and dear one wasting himself or herself away day by day, getting frustrated, getting lonely, kind of getting into self harm. So they will try, like as much as they can, so as to help him or her out. So that is very much there, and uh, the very fact that a person is not in good shape, is into drinking, and that has become a problem. The vibe that you have at home, even if there is no violence, the vibe is not very positive, not very healthy. So the family gets affected, like with or without financial problem, with or without violence. Like there are situations where all these things that aggravate the situation makes it worse. But then even if that person just sits by himself or herself and has his or her drink, even then there is a like gloomy atmosphere at home. People are concerned. There is no joy in such a household. So they try to help that person out, and obviously this becomes much more obvious when we see that when a person comes out of the problem, how much happiness returns to the
Yeah,
household.
because I think along with that alcoholic person, the family is suffering equally or more actually, because this person drinks and whenever he is drunk, he or she is drunk, is forgetting about the whole problem. But the family member is there, or the family members are there, kids are there who are watching, seeing, not being able to do it, and silently suffering because of the alcoholism problem that the family member is having, basically. Next question is about relapse. So, how common is a relapse in a person, and what causes or may cause a relapse, and what exactly do you mean by a relapse? Like, if a person is drinking, was sober for maybe 10 years and then drinks once, would you call that a relapse, or someone again drinking habitually is a relapse, and what mostly would factor in, and how can they stop this relapse from happening, someone who has been sober for a long time? Rina first, yeah.
So, what you call a relapse is basically, theoretically, if you are out of substance for at least 6 months clean and you have it again, that is not a relapse. That is something we call abstinence violation effect.
Okay.
Ki I was abstinent from substance, I had it again. Now the problem is ki there is a lot of theories which says ki if you are abstinent and you have it again, then your body is again getting the taste of it. And then you tell to yourself, okay, I had a glass today, I wasn't addicted, let me have a glass again tomorrow. And then after a glass again, the two, and then the relapse happens because your body already loves the substance. So it's not like something which is not liked by it. I was addicted to it before because it was giving me pleasure. And if I even have a glass again, it gives me the same pleasure. And most of the time we see relapse, the first step of it starts mostly in the social situation. That's the reason that when we leave a person after alcohol use, we say them ki avoid going to the same company again. Don't go to the same place where you used to have alcohol. Because the same setting will motivate you to have it
The same
again.
setting or the same people.
Same
and
setting,
then,
same people.
yeah,
So that
एक पेग में
if,
कुछ
then
नहीं
what
होता,
happens is
right?
ki after a year of not having, then this has to be emphasized to them. Ki if you are having once, it means you can go back to the cycle. So that one glass will be very tempting, but if you can resist it, you can just avoid the entire relapse. But having that one glass, please come back to us. Because
Yeah.
abstinence violation has happened, and now let us work on it again.
Again, like start from the beginning, most probably.
Not even
Maybe
if the beginning, maybe revising the
revise
steps
the
again.
steps again. So a little
So
bit
that
of
relapse can be prevented, because relapse is when you're full blown into drinking again.
okay.
And that doesn't take a lot of time with
Yeah,
this violation.
First. So first comes the violation. So immediately after the violation, if someone goes for help,
Yeah.
it will not cause to a
And we
relapse.
always have to
full-blown
remember
relapse.
that our body has certain vulnerabilities. So someone who has been addicted once, that automatically shows the person has been vulnerable to addiction. So second time is going to be faster, not slower.
irrespective of the outer factors, most probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sir, how about you? What's
Yeah.
your opinion on this?
So, it's in the definition of addiction. Addiction is defined as a chronic relapsing brain disease that involves compulsive intake of mood-altering substances despite knowing negative consequences. So, it's in the definition of the problem. The word relapsing is there. So it's a part of the disease, or if you want to call it a disorder or a problem, whatever you call it, it's a part of the process. Setbacks are a part of this journey. But then uh, the effective way to deal is to join the wagon as soon as you are aware that you have slipped.
started
They used to
drinking
call
again.
it slip,
Slip,
like
basically,
taking
yes.
alcohol once,
Mm-hmm.
and then just stop altogether and again cleaning up, staying sober. So relapse are full-fledged relapses when that person gets back into like the old using pattern, using regularly, heavily, that kind of thing. But there are complete abstinence programs, like two of them. One of them is Alcoholics Anonymous, the AA.
Yes.
So in the 12-step programs, a relapse is just a single use will be considered as a relapse because they hold the clean time very sacred. So like they have their sober birthdays.
Okay.
So when you are celebrating sober birthday, then the sobriety has to be back to back. Like if you have cleaned up, say on 15th March 2016, and then someday down the line you have used, then that uninterrupted
Period
clean
is
time
not there.
sobriety, it's
So it'll start
kind of-
again when you
yeah.
start the
but
process
then
again.
the damage can be reduced. Maybe the clean time is gone, but the damage can be reduced if the person comes back within the fold of treatment, comes back to the recovery.
Action
kind
is
of-
taking
yeah,
immediately,
immediately.
but then that person needs to
Yeah,
understand that
yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm still sober maybe, but I have
Yeah.
broken that
Yeah,
continuity.
they used to call it like getting back on the wagon. Yeah, again
Yes.
getting into the sobriety mode. So that is there, and uh, before the person has taken up the first drink, we always say that whatever might happen, please don't use, or that should be the kind of attitude that is to be cultivated within that person, that like no matter what happens, I will not pick up that drink. But then once that they have
Picked up
all
the drink.
picked it up, then it is like it's okay to do it once, but then now I have to again just join the journey. So the mindset, it changes from before, like it's not permissible, till the drink, and after the drink it was okay. Now again, yeah.
Start the journey again.
Yeah.
It's kind of. The next question is about culture. You know, a lot of culture promotes drinking, or it's okay in cultures to have alcohol in social parties. So the question is basically, India normalizes drinking socially. How does culture shape addiction patterns?
We hear about big Punjabi weddings where you cannot function without alcohol because it is said ki without alcohol, how can they do a wedding?
Exactly.
Or how can we have a party without it? Nowadays, for youngsters, if I'm celebrating my birthday, that cheers with alcohol and champagne flowing is very important.
Exactly.
So India promotes culture. Indian culture do promote alcoholism, but I don't think so ki only India. I think it's across the world.
It's promoted everywhere.
Because if you
actually.
see, there is no Christian wedding without wines.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So
True.
only religion I think which bars alcoholism is Islamic.
Hmm.
But apart from that, no other religion talks about alcohol, neither anyone promotes it.
Yes.
So if we go by religion, no religious scriptures will ever say have alcohol for celebrations. But this is our own choices we have made. We had adapted from Western culture.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the wines there. Then we started with our own whiskeys and vodkas and rum. So obviously culture do promote and do. There are certain cultures who do it more. But I would also say that with any culture now, in every wedding you will see alcohol. Some open counter, some behind the doors.
Or karobar.
Yes. And for the youngsters now, it's all about alcohol. Like in a barat, if I don't have that 2 glasses or 2 shots, how will
Yeah.
I dance?
Yes.
So I think people are needing more and more to disinhibit themselves and enjoy more. So it is a mindset which has become that without alcohol there can be no celebration.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
has been like people telling to others, oh, you don't have alcohol, your life is so boring.
Yes.
So when
True.
you hear these things, then it becomes very stigmatizing for you that I'm missing out on something.
Hmm.
So even if you don't want, you have it. Like I know someone who was like last day in a party, the person was told, it's your birthday, you need to have 5 shots. So that 5 shots in a party for someone who is not used to it, after
The
that she
party
was
is
in a
over
washroom.
after 5
Yeah, she's in the
shots.
washroom. But the culture is saying कि birthday जिसका है उसको तो 5 से 6 shots तो लेना है. You should have it with everyone.
Yeah.
So I think it's more than culture. I think it's a generation also.
Hmm.
Because if the culture would be a factor, then 40 years before also alcohol would have been so common.
Hmm.
So I think we are learning now that alcohol is a way of celebration.
Hmm.
I think that message is a problem.
I think Gen Zs are kind of abstaining from alcohol because I think with
But they are going for other substances which are more dangerous. They are all having vapes in their pocket, which is like having 20 cigarettes together.
is it? I have no.
Yeah, because the amount of smoke it comes out. So Gen Z, yes, they say because of our mental health and physical health, we are
Okay.
not having alcohol. But the fact is, they are not only having those whiskey glasses.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
apart from that, I think LSD, heroin, everything has increased
Wow.
the consumption because vape parties and everything has become more than common. So
Okay.
nowadays, they are moving away from alcohol and shifting to cannabis, which
Hmm.
has more direct link to psychosis.
Oh.
So
Sorry, you're sorry.
yeah,
Saying
so it's a problem only. So like Gen Z is doing anything better.
So Gen Zs basically have picked up other problems.
Other problems, leaving
Leaving
alcohol. Yeah, so it's like they are focusing on the lungs, leaving the liver
Now,
aside.
now you have more problems to handle.
Yeah, you will see vape in every pocket of a 15-year-old boy also.
Yeah, no, I know. I do have friends who are vaping. Who
Yeah.
were smoking before, now they're vaping, and I don't know which one is better or which one is
Yes.
worse.
So
And sir, what do you have to say about this?
So, like, there is no linear way of assessing direct effect of cultural endorsement on these substances, because even if the culture doesn't endorse a certain substance, like say in India, heroin,
Hmm.
it's not culturally endorsed, but the number of people who got hooked into it, the figures are like
Staggering.
staggering. Yeah. So,
Nobody is talking about it, most probably.
yeah. So you cannot just directly correlate the two things, that cultural endorsement and the using. But then again, I would say I have a interesting observation to share here,
Yes, sir.
which is I know many people who were hooked into heroin,
Mhm.
and they gave up heroin only to end up as people with alcohol problem, because they shifted to
Shifted.
something which
Yeah.
is culturally accepted.
Hmm.
So in
Like
that
they
way,
felt less guilty, maybe. Okay, now not having heroin or having
Yeah.
alcohol. Right?
if I see my father having alcohol in a social party, I assume it's absolutely
Yeah.
acceptable.
Yeah, but
And
if you see someone
nowadays-
having heroin, you'll be like, oh, that's illegal.
And nowadays you see that in most of the social functions, 2 to 3 generations are sitting and drinking together. So that way, yes, we are promoting alcoholism.
Yes, of course.
Because we are having with our children with the logic key, if we are not friends with them, then they will not come back to us.
Yeah.
But there are other ways of making friendship with your children, I feel.
Of course, there is. And once your child is alcoholic, then you most probably wouldn't even know.
No, you will not be able to correct them after you have with them. That is the
Exactly.
problem which parents are not realizing.
That's
If
very important
I can
point.
correct them only when I'm not doing it in front of them.
It's very important.
And they are not very aware of it. But if I'm having 4 pegs in front of them, and if I say them ki no, don't have it, will damage your liver, I will hear it back that you also take care of your
yourself are
liver.
doing, so why are you telling
So
me?
that way culture is, yes, getting affected.
The next question is, what is the most misunderstood thing about people struggling with alcoholism?
I think we assume that if they want, they can leave it very easily. It's their problem if they are not leaving it. So the way society blames them.
Okay.
They don't realize ki it's like obviously it's a lifestyle choice in the beginning, but getting addicted is not a choice. And then leaving is a real struggle. So when we motivate them ki today you only have 200 ml, tomorrow let's shift to 180 ml. As a psychologist, we have to also realize ki preaching is easier than following. It's easier to preach than practice. So when you are used to a substance and if you can't have it, like now, I would just give you an example. We all are addicted to our phones. And I tell you, ki please for 2 hours don't use your phone. So you will look for a way ki how do I get my phone and how do I check a missed call. So it's same with alcohol ki they know it's harming their liver. They know it's affecting their family. They do try. And that's the reason relapse happens. So we assume that it is in their control, but we fail to realize it's not in their control.
Okay.
They do try.
Yeah, so basically, we misunderstand them in a way that they're still in control,
Yes.
but they're not, and we should try
Give
and
them that
help
more.
them.
Addiction is a real struggle. This is something we have to realize, not something that, okay, tomorrow I want you to leave and it is up to you. No.
Yeah, so the non-alcoholic people need to realize it first, most probably,
Yes,
so that we can
because-
help the people who are struggling with alcoholism.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Sir, for you?
I would say that the most common misunderstanding about alcoholism or addiction is that addiction is a problem in itself. It's just the symptom of much deeper issues. So, like, we have to address those traumas, those unresolved kind of crisis that the person has. Those things have to be identified, brought into light, and then there is no cure for alcoholism, but healing can be aided, healing can be fostered. So if we try to just doctor it and get prescriptive about it, maybe sometimes or many a times we don't quite get at the bottom of the problem and hence don't get expected results. But maybe if the person is firstly accepted, which also has to do with what she said, that if we think that you know how to control but you are not doing it on purpose because you are indulging into a habit which is not helping you, then that is a way in where we are kind of accusing that person in a certain way, and that makes that person feel uncomfortable, not accepted, and get into the shell much more, get defensive much more. Whereas unconditional acceptance, judging, not judging,
Not judging the
and then providing a healing atmosphere. With all that, maybe the person himself or herself would eventually come in terms with the issue, accept that they indeed have a problem, have an issue, and then healing becomes possible. Because it's not that we enforce a regime, rehabilitation, and then that kind of solves the problem once and for all. Maybe it can help. It helps tremendously when the person with the problem is cooperating with the treatment, has consent in the treatment. But then if forced confinement is kind of imposed on the person against his or her will, then that might backfire.
So we should be
somewhere
more
else.
empathetic towards people
Yeah.
who have this problem and try to understand what exactly they are going through.
Yeah.
And then only maybe we'll be able to help them out of this alcoholism problem. Right?
Yeah.
Someone listening today suspects that they have this drinking problem or they are getting into alcoholism. So what is the first step they should take?
I already mentioned earlier in the episode, first you sit at home,
Mhm.
take a 5-day challenge.
Exactly.
If you can abstain from a substance for 5 to 7 days, then try to make it a weekly habit. If you can't for 5 days, then please come to us as soon as possible and we are there to help you.
Perfect. Yeah,
So I
because
think
counseling is
Just
very
do a
important.
5-day challenge for yourself
Yes.
and go for a regular habits of health checkups every year. If you are using any substance, even if you think it's on an occasional basis, your health medical reports will also give you a lot of insight.
Okay. Perfect. Sir, how about you? What suggestion would you like to give to this person?
Discuss this with people who are closely observing the person, because many a times habits go unnoticed, which other person they observe.
Yes.
So the
Perfect.
person thinks that he or she is very much in control, drinking in moderation, but the family has an entirely different point of view.
Yes.
So maybe discussing with them, discussing with colleagues, with family, that gives a kind of more realistic perspective, because of the denial aspect of this problem, people tend to overlook.
Yeah, so they can confirm with the people around, friends and family,
Yeah.
maybe that maybe I'm drinking too much. Do you think I need help? Kind. And then after that, you should go for a help, please. Very important. And the last question, we have come to the last one of the episode, is one message that you would want the society to understand about alcoholism.
I have a 2 to 3 line single message. Firstly, I understand alcohol is not a style statement. If you are having alcohol, you are not cooler than others, smarter than others, more acceptable than others. You are only inviting long-term problems for yourself. And for society, I have one message. Please start treating mental illness like physical illness. I think I've started saying this all my podcasts nowadays. Because I have seen the difference. If someone goes for dengue treatment to a hospital, the entire family is super empathetic.
Yes.
Oh my God, what happened? You had dengue, take this, take that. And on the other hand, if someone is going for depression treatment, you should have been stronger. You should have coped better. So please understand, both are not in your hands.
Exactly.
It's not like it's a choice to become mentally ill.
I think most people, sorry, I think most people fail to understand that just like our heart, our kidneys, our liver, brain is the most important organ which needs equal care and treatment, which
Brain has some neurotransmitter which regulate the mental
Exactly.
illnesses.
And it regulates the rest of the parts of the body,
So-
and we fail to take care of that
It-
one organ
Yes.
which is making us function.
It does have a biological basis, even mental illnesses.
Exactly.
So people who think it only happens because of loss, trauma, our own inability, they are absolutely wrong. At times we have no control, and at times people who come to us with certain psychological problems, they really don't know from where they got it.
Yes, very true.
So treat it as physical illness. That's
That's exactly. Sir, how about you? Your message to the society or to
Yeah.
anyone who is suffering through this?
Now we have come almost to the end of this episode. So I would like to share a personal experience. I myself have lived experience of substance use problem that includes alcohol, and it has been a long-standing problem for me, and I struggled very much, and I have undergone many treatments, rehabilitations, and then ultimately I cleaned up in 2015 and been an abstainee ever since. And so what I say is that there was a time in my life when I was so much deep into using and drinking that it seemed impossible that I can come out of it. and I lost all hopes. But then somehow, with the help of my near and dear ones, with the support of the Narcotics Anonymous community, Alcoholics Anonymous community, the rehabilitation program, and everyone who had a part in my recovery, I finally got over it. So recovery is real. It's happening in people's life. So those of you who are like think that the problem has become so widespread and deep that it's impossible to get out of it, it's not like that. You can come out of it, and all you have to do is you have to take the resolution. You have to have the honest desire to stop drinking, honest desire, and then pursue the path which has helped all other addicts, all other alcoholics come out of it. So just hold the vision, trust the process, and yeah, everything will be
Thank
bright.
you so much, sir. And I think it takes a lot to come up and open up and tell people that, and it is so motivating that you have done this. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to get motivated today that if you have the problem or going through it, you'll be able to get out of it. Just like sir said, you just have to accept it and take the first step and recognize the silent enemy that I spoke about right in the beginning of the episode. And thank you, both of you, for coming here. We are not done yet. The episode is not ended yet. We have one small little thing that we have introduced from the season. It's rapid fire round.
Okay.
So these questions I have not given you, they're not very difficult. So the answer can be long, but it has to come quick. Okay? Who wants to go first?
You.
Sir?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. So there are 5 questions.
Yeah.
And the first question, addiction only affects the poor or troubled. True or false?
False.
Can partners or family enable alcoholism unknowingly?
Yes.
Okay. Is binge drinking the same as alcoholism?
Yes.
Can alcohol addiction be hereditary?
Yes.
Is shame helpful or harmful in recovery?
Harmful.
Harmful. I think he explained that right now. Thank you so much. That was very quick. For you, I'll start with you next. You must hit rock bottom to quit. True or false?
True at times, yes, because you only quit when you are at your absolute, like,
Worst.
no other option.
Left. Okay. Can peer pressure enable addiction unknowingly?
Yes, because you start thinking of having fun. Okay, I need to have a drink to go to dance. I see most of the people who say, okay, now we have to dance, let's have a shot. So they just don't realize that without a shot also you can dance if you are a good dancer.
Exactly. So,
And you know how to have fun without alcohol.
so become a dancer, not an alcoholic.
Yes. I know how to have fun without a substance.
Yes. When does social drinking become addiction?
When you start having it isolated, alone, and you don't need to go to a social gathering anymore.
Like, akele kafi hai.
Akele, apna alcohol is my best company. That is when you become addicted.
Alcohol is my only company and I'm
Yeah.
happy with it. No. Is denial always part of alcoholism?
80 to 90% of the times, yes. Because I haven't seen a person who has accepted very willingly, कि, okay, I'm addicted. It comes with a lot of hardships. So you always want to make yourself convinced that, no, I'm not addicted to it, I'm enjoying it.
Okay. How long does it take the brain to heal after quitting alcohol?
Around, I think, 6 months to 1 year, definitely. And then also you have to keep on doing those mind exercises because you have first tortured it, so you have to bring it back to the track.
Mind is very important. Yes. With that, we finally have come to the end of a very, very helpful and very important episode. I hope this is going to help a lot of people. If you have any questions, we have provided all the information about Sir and Megha ma'am in the bio, and there are contact details. So please go through them and get in touch with them. They're available anytime you need help. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you're enjoying what you're watching. If so, then like, share and subscribe. And do not forget to press the bell icon for notifications.